Welcome back. It's Dr. Dolittle Chapter 14. Tutu, the Listener. The doctor thanked the sharks for their kindness. Then he and his pet set off once more on their journey home in the swift ship with the three red sails. As they moved out into the open sea, the animals all went downstairs to see what their new boat was like inside. The doctor leaned on the rail and smiled. He wondered how the monkeys were getting on and what his garden would look like when he got back to Puddleby. Then Dab Dab came tumbling up the stairs, all smiles and full of news. "Doctor," she cried, "this ship of the pirates is simply beautiful. The beds downstairs have hundreds of big silk pillows. There are thick, soft carpets on the floors. The dishes are made of silver, and there are all sorts of good things to eat and drink. Special things. Just think, they kept 5 different kinds of cheeses, those men. Come and look. Oh, and we found a little room down there with the door locked. We are all just crazy to get in and see what's inside. Jip said it must be where the pirates kept their treasure, but we can't open the door. Come down and see if you can let us in." So the doctor went downstairs. He found the animals gathered around a little door, all talking at once, trying to guess what was inside. The doctor turned the handle, but it wouldn't open. Jip peered through the keyhole, but he could see nothing. While they were standing around wondering what to do, the owl, Tutu, suddenly said, "Shh, listen. I do believe there's someone in there." They all kept still a moment. Then the doctor said, "Are you sure, Tutu? I don't hear anything." "I'm sure of it," said the owl. "Shh. There it is again. Don't you hear that?" "No, I do not. What kind of sound is it?" "I hear the noise of someone putting his hand in his pocket," said the owl. "But that makes hardly any sound at all," said the doctor. "You couldn't hear that out here." "Pardon me, but I can," said Tutu. "I tell you there is someone on the other side of that door putting his hand in his pocket. Almost everything makes some noise, if your ears are only sharp enough to catch it. Bats can hear a mole walking in his tunnel under the earth. But we owls can tell you, using only one ear, the color of a kitten from the way it winks in the dark." "Well, well," said the doctor, "you surprise me. That's very interesting. Listen again and tell me what he's doing now." "I'm not sure yet," said Tutu. "If it's a man at all, maybe it's a woman. Lift me up and let me listen at the keyhole." So the doctor lifted the owl up and held him close to the lock of the door. After a moment, Tutu said, "Now he's rubbing his face with his left hand. It is a small hand and a small face. It might be a woman. No. Now he pushes his hair back off his forehead. It's a man, all right." "Women sometimes do that," said the doctor. "True," said the owl. "But when they do, their long hair makes quite a different sound. Shh. Everybody be quite still. Shut your eyes and don't breathe." Tutu leaned down and listened again very hard and long. At last he looked up into the doctor's face and said, "The man in there is unhappy. He weeps. He is trying not to sniffle, but I did hear the sound of a tear falling on his sleeve." "How do you know wasn't a drop of water falling off the ceiling on him?" asked Gub Gub. "Psh, how silly," sniffed Tutu. "A drop of water falling off the ceiling would have made 10 times as much noise." "Well," said the doctor, "if the poor fellow's unhappy, we've got to get in and see what's the matter with him. Find me an axe and I'll chop the door down." Right away an axe was found, and the doctor soon chopped a hole in the door. At first he could see nothing at all. It was so dark inside, so he struck a match. The room was quite small. For furniture there was only one little stool. All around the room, big barrels stood against the walls, and above the barrels, pewter jugs of all sizes hung from wooden pegs, and in the middle of the floor sat a little boy, about 8 years old, crying. "I declare it's just a young lad," said Jip in a whisper. The little boy seemed rather frightened to find a man standing there and all those animals staring in through the hole of the broken door. But as soon as he saw John Dolittle's face by the light of the match, he stopped crying and got up. "You aren't one of the pirates, are you?" the boy asked. At that, the doctor threw back his head and laughed long and loud. The little boy smiled too and came back and took his hand. "You laugh like a friend," he said. "Not like a pirate. Could you tell me where my uncle is?" "I'm afraid I can't," said the doctor. "When did you see him last?" "It was the day before yesterday," said the boy. "My uncle and I were out fishing in our little boat when the pirates came and caught us. They sunk our fishing boat and brought us onto this ship. They told my uncle that they wanted him to be a pirate like them, but he said he didn't want to be a pirate. Then the leader, Ben Ali, got very angry and gnashed his teeth and said they would throw my uncle into the sea if he didn't do as they said. They sent me downstairs and I heard the noise of a fight going on above. And when they let me come up again the next day, my uncle was nowhere to be seen. I asked the pirates where he was, but they wouldn't tell me. I am very much afraid they threw him into the sea and drowned him." And the little boy began to cry again. "Well, now, wait a minute," said the doctor. "Don't cry. Let's go and have tea in the dining room and we'll talk it over. Maybe your uncle is quite safe. You don't know that he was drowned, do you? And that's something. Perhaps we can find him for you. First we'll go and have tea with bread and strawberry jam. Then we'll see what can be done.